Alex had always dreamed of owning a unique, character-filled home that they could put their creative stamp on. When they stumbled upon a charming but somewhat dated house in the quaint neighborhood of Cedar Grove, it seemed like fate. The neighborhood, with its tree-lined streets and well-kept gardens, had a reputation for being both welcoming and exclusive, thanks to its active homeowners association, HOA. The house itself was a 1960s ranch-style home that had seen better days but held immense potential. Alex, a graphic designer with a keen eye for aesthetics, was excited about transforming the space into a modern yet cozy haven. They envisioned open living spaces, minimalist decor, and large, inviting windows to replace the outdated fixtures and closed-off rooms. The day Alex received the keys, they stood in the empty house, imagining knocking down walls to create an open floor plan, updating the exterior with sleek, contemporary materials. It was more than just a renovation project. It was a chance to create something truly personal. But before any of that could happen, Alex knew they needed to navigate the HOA's strict guidelines. Cedar Grove's HOA was notorious for its meticulous standards and the lengths it went to preserve the neighborhood's traditional aesthetic. Alex had done their homework, prepared detailed plans, and was ready to submit them for approval, hoping the process would be straightforward. Little did Alex know, their vision for a dream home was about to run headlong into the formidable force of neighborhood tradition embodied by none other than Karen, one of their soon-to-be neighbors and a key member of the HOA board. The Cedar Grove Homeowners Association, HOA, played a significant role in maintaining the neighborhood's charm and uniformity. The HOA had strict rules about architectural styles, paint colors, landscaping, and even the types of mailboxes allowed. These rules had helped keep the neighborhood looking picturesque and orderly, attracting residents who appreciated the consistency and traditional values. Karen, a long-standing resident of Cedar Grove, was particularly active in the HOA. She had lived in the neighborhood for over 2 decades and took great pride in her role as the unofficial gatekeeper of its aesthetic integrity. With a keen eye for detail and a rigid adherence to the rules, Karen was both respected and feared by many residents. Her influence on the HOA board was significant, and she had a reputation for being a stickler for the regulations, often going beyond what was expected to ensure compliance. As Alex prepared to submit their renovation plans, they were aware of Karen's reputation. Neighbors had casually warned Alex about her, suggesting they double-check their plans to ensure every detail adhered to the HOA's strict standards. While Alex appreciated the advice, they remained optimistic that their modern yet tasteful design proposals would win the board over. The day Alex walked into the HOA office to submit their plans, they caught their first glimpse of Karen. She was meticulously reviewing another resident's application, her brow furrowed in concentration. Alex overheard her pointing out a minor discrepancy in the color scheme that didn't quite match the approved palette. Seeing this interaction up close, Alex felt a twinge of anxiety. They knew that their own plans, which included some bold choices, might not sit well with someone so devoted to tradition. Nevertheless, they handed over their documents to the receptionist, hoping that the architectural drawings and detailed explanations of their eco-friendly materials and energy-efficient designs would appeal to the board's modern sensibilities. As Alex left the office, they couldn't help but notice Karen's eyes briefly flick over their plans. The look on her face was one of curiosity mixed with a hint of skepticism. It was clear that getting Karen on board might be their biggest challenge yet. A week after submitting the plans, Alex was invited to attend the next HOA meeting to discuss their proposal in detail. The atmosphere was a mix of cordial and formal as various community issues were addressed before Alex's turn came. With a deep breath, Alex stood to present their vision for the house. As they began, Alex outlined the plan improvements, demolishing certain walls to create an open-concept living area, installing large glass doors for natural light, and updating the exterior with a mix of wood and modern composite materials for better insulation and aesthetics. They emphasized how these changes would not only enhance the property's functionality, but also its curb appeal, potentially increasing property values in Cedar Grove. The presentation included digital renderings that showed a tasteful blend of modern and traditional designs, aiming to respect the neighborhood's character while introducing efficiency and a fresh aesthetic. Alex felt confident as they walked the board through each aspect, detailing the environmentally friendly aspects and the careful selection of materials. However, as Alex spoke, they could feel Karen's gaze, analyzing every word and image. When the floor opened for questions, Karen was quick to raise her hand, her expression one of concern. "While I appreciate the effort put into these plans," Karen began, her voice steady but firm, I have several concerns about how these extensive changes might disrupt the cohesive aesthetic of our neighborhood. Cedar Grove is known for its traditional charm, and what you're proposing seems to deviate significantly from that. Karen then pointed out specific elements of the design that she found particularly troubling, such as the proposed minimalist landscaping and the modern facade treatments. These kind of designs might be fashionable, but they don't necessarily fit the character of our community, she added. Alex listened, trying to maintain composure as Karen detailed her objections. They had anticipated some resistance, but hadn't expected a full critique based on aesthetic preferences alone. After Karen finished, a few other board members chimed in with less critical, yet cautious, comments. They were intrigued by the modern elements, but echoed Karen's concerns about maintaining the neighborhood's traditional look. The meeting concluded with the board deciding to take more time to review the plans further. Alex left feeling a mix of frustration and determination. They recognized that Karen's influence was a significant hurdle, but also knew that their renovation plans offered something genuinely beneficial for the neighborhood. The challenge now was to find a way to bridge the gap between modern innovation and traditional values, a task that seemed increasingly daunting as they realized the full extent of Karen's sway over the HOA and her proximity as a neighbor. Following the initial discussion at the HOA meeting, a special session was called specifically to delve deeper into Alex's renovation plans. The tone of this meeting was noticeably more intense, with neighbors and board members gathering to weigh the merits and potential disruptions of the proposed changes. Alex prepared a more detailed presentation, hoping to address the concerns raised previously and to showcase how the renovations could indeed align with the community's values. As Alex began to lay out their revised plans, emphasizing the balance between modern efficiency and traditional aesthetics, Karen interjected with a well-prepared argument. She had come armed with a binder full of HOA guidelines, historical precedents in the neighborhood, and examples of past renovation disputes that had caused friction within the community. While I understand and appreciate Alex's attempt to modernize, Karen said, addressing the room with a tone of authority, we must consider the long-term impact on our neighborhood's identity. Our bylaws were established to preserve a certain aesthetic, one that reflects a shared history and values. This proposal, she gestured dismissively towards Alex's renderings, seems to prioritize individual taste over communal harmony. Karen then meticulously pointed out elements of the design that she claimed violated specific HOA rules. She argued that the sleek, contemporary lines of the exterior modifications did not complement the existing architectural styles of Cedar Grove, which featured more ornate, classic designs. She also expressed concerns about the type of materials Alex planned to use, suggesting they were too unconventional for the neighborhood. The room filled with murmurs as Karen presented photo comparisons of other houses in the area, highlighting how Alex's designs could disrupt the visual flow of the street. Her presentation was compelling, playing on the fears of longtime residents who valued uniformity and were wary of change. As the debate heated up, other board members began to voice their own opinions, some swayed by Karen's arguments, while others seemed more open to considering Alex's innovative approach. The discussion became a broader reflection on the community's direction. Should Cedar Grove hold tightly to its traditions, or could it embrace a new, more diverse architectural identity? Alex realized that winning over the board would require more than just logical arguments about property values and modern conveniences. They needed to connect their vision to the emotional and aesthetic values of the community, showing that evolution in design could coexist with tradition. The meeting ended without a final decision, and it was clear that Karen's objections had struck a chord with many board members. Alex left the meeting feeling uncertain about the project's future, but resolved to find a way to blend their modern ideas with the cherished traditions of Cedar Grove. As Alex walked home from the contentious HOA meeting, they decided to take a detour through the neighborhood to clear their mind and strategize their next steps. It was during this walk that Alex noticed something that hadn't quite registered before. Karen's house was directly adjacent to theirs. This proximity suddenly made Karen's vehement opposition more understandable, yet also more frustrating. Realizing the implications of being neighbors with Karen, Alex began to see the renovation conflict not just as a matter of architectural preference, but as a potentially ongoing neighborhood relationship issue. The proximity meant that every change Alex proposed would directly affect Karen, explaining her intense scrutiny and resistance. Determined to find a peaceful resolution and possibly turn a contentious relationship into a neighborly rapport, Alex decided to approach Karen directly. The next morning, they gathered their renovation plans, including some new sketches that toned down the most modern elements, hoping to find a middle ground. With a deep breath for courage, Alex walked over to Karen's house and rang the doorbell. Karen answered, her expression one of surprise mixed with a guarded wariness as she saw Alex standing on her doorstep, plans in hand. Hi, Karen. I realized we hadn't had a chance to talk one-on-one about the renovation plans. Alex began, keeping their tone friendly yet assertive. I'd love to get your input directly, considering we're neighbors and all. Karen hesitated, but then stepped aside to let Alex in. Well, I suppose we should discuss this, she conceded, leading Alex into her living room, which was decorated in a classic style that clearly reflected her preference for tradition. As they sat down, Alex laid out the plans on the coffee table, pointing out specific changes they thought might be most contentious. I understand your concerns about keeping the neighborhood's charm, Karen, and I've adjusted some of the designs to be more in line with the traditional aesthetic here. Karen listened, her demeanor softening slightly as Alex explained their vision and showed a willingness to compromise. It was the first time they had engaged in a direct dialogue without the formality and pressure of an HOA meeting, which allowed for a more genuine discussion about their perspectives. The conversation was lengthy and at times difficult, with both trying to defend their views yet slowly moving towards understanding each other's concerns. Alex's initiative to reach out and Karen's willingness to engage marked the beginning of a new phase in their relationship, one that could lead to more collaborative problem-solving. The conversation in Karen's living room marked a turning point. Although initially skeptical, Karen began to see the genuine effort Alex was putting into respecting the neighborhood's aesthetic while incorporating modern elements. Alex, for their part, gained insights into Karen's deep-seated fears about the community losing its character. Karen, I understand the importance of preserving the look and feel of Cedar Grove, Alex explained, pointing to the modified plans. I've toned down the exterior finishes to more subtle, neutral colors and adjusted the landscaping to include more traditional plants that are already found throughout the neighborhood. Karen, looking over the revisions, nodded slowly. I can see you've made an effort here, she admitted, still cautious but visibly softening. The colors are more in line with what we're used to, and the landscaping changes are a good compromise. Encouraged by Karen's response, Alex continued, I believe these renovations can set a precedent for how we can evolve the neighborhood responsibly. We can introduce sustainability and modernity without erasing what makes Cedar Grove special. Karen pondered this, her expression thoughtful. It's just a big change, she said, her voice revealing a hint of vulnerability. I've seen communities lose their identity with too much modernization. It's not just about the looks. It's about maintaining a sense of continuity. Alex nodded, understanding her concerns. I get that. It's why I came to you directly. I think together we can find a way to integrate new ideas in a way that respects the past but also prepares us for the future. The direct discussion allowed them to navigate their differences more constructively. Karen appreciated that Alex took her concerns seriously and showed a willingness to adapt their plans. In turn, Alex appreciated Karen's deep commitment to the community, even if it was sometimes expressed through rigid opposition. As the meeting concluded, Karen agreed to reconsider her stance at the next HOA meeting, promising to discuss the revised plans with an open mind. Alex left Karen's house feeling cautiously optimistic, hopeful that their willingness to compromise and engage in open dialogue could lead to a favorable outcome. Despite the seemingly productive conversation with Alex, Karen's deeply ingrained skepticism about change did not fully dissipate. As the next HOA meeting approached, Alex noticed that Karen was quietly rallying support from certain long-standing members of the community. It appeared that while she might have softened somewhat in private, publicly, Karen was preparing to maintain her stance against the renovation. Word reached Alex that Karen had been visiting other neighbors, sharing her concerns about the slippery slope of modern architectural elements entering Cedar Grove. She emphasized the risk of the neighborhood losing its cherished character and cited examples from other communities where similar changes had led to a stark departure from traditional styles. Alex realized that convincing Karen alone wasn't enough. They needed to address the broader community's concerns and demonstrate how the renovation could benefit everyone without compromising the neighborhood's integrity. It was crucial to expand the dialogue and directly involve more neighbors in the discussion. Determined to counteract Karen's behind-the-scenes efforts, Alex organized a small community meeting in their own home. They invited neighbors from across Cedar Grove, aiming to present their revised plans in a friendly, open house setting. This would give everyone a chance to ask questions, express concerns, and see the detailed renderings up close. During the meeting, Alex carefully explained each aspect of the renovation, focusing on how they had adjusted the plans to respect the traditional values of the neighborhood while incorporating necessary updates for sustainability and efficiency. They highlighted how these changes would not only beautify the property, but could also enhance property values and attract conscientious residents who valued both tradition and progress. The response was mixed. Some neighbors were intrigued and supportive, appreciating Alex's proactive approach and the clear benefits of the updates. Others echoed Karen's cautiousness, wary of setting a precedent that might lead to more radical changes. The discussion was lively, with Alex addressing each concern thoughtfully, reinforcing their commitment to Cedar Grove's values. The community meeting proved to be a pivotal moment in Alex's journey to renovate their home. While there were still some residents aligned with Karen's conservative views, many expressed their appreciation for Alex's thoughtful approach and clear respect for the neighborhood's character. The visual renderings and detailed explanations helped demystify the proposed changes, and neighbors could see the tangible benefits of modernization done thoughtfully. Recognizing the need to build broader support, Alex took the feedback from the community meeting and revised the renovation plans once more. They introduced additional elements that blended even more seamlessly with the existing architectural styles of Cedar Grove while maintaining the modern efficiencies they envisioned. Alex also prepared a detailed impact report, highlighting potential increases in property values and improvements in energy efficiency that could benefit the entire community. Armed with this new information and a strategy to unify rather than divide, Alex requested another meeting with the HOA board, this time inviting any interested community members to attend. The meeting was well attended, signaling the high stakes and keen interest in the outcome. During the meeting, Alex presented the updated plans with a focus on community benefits, addressing the concerns raised by Karen and her supporters head-on. They showed how the modern elements could be integrated subtly into the existing structures, ensuring that any enhancements would not disrupt the visual harmony of the neighborhood. To Alex's relief and Karen's evident surprise, several neighbors spoke up in support of the revised plans. They expressed their confidence in Alex's vision and urged the board to consider the long-term benefits of approving the renovation. Their voices made a significant impact, demonstrating a shift in community sentiment and challenging the narrative that all change was inherently risky or undesirable. Karen, faced with the growing support for Alex's proposal, found her position increasingly isolated. She attempted to reiterate her original points, but with less conviction, as the mood in the room had shifted noticeably. The community's response highlighted a desire for progress and trust in Alex's thoughtful approach, which left Karen struggling to adapt her arguments to the new consensus.